So painting is a very open space that you bring your imagination onto a canvas, right? So one thing that stuck to my mind when I saw a Patachitra painting is the border around the painting, border around the central frame. So what is this border? So when I interacted with the Patachitra painters as to why we put a border across the painting, this painting is a result of that. So what I did is I bought stories from the wild. I brought in stories of the local tribes, the native people, their knowledge, the local wildlife hotspots, the species, and everything. And I incorporated that in a Patachitra layout. And to my surprise, it was very well accepted by the people, not just in Odisha, but throughout India and all over the world. All the best. So this is the depiction of the same that you can see on the left. And on the right, this is the depiction of Ghadial. So Ghadials are found in Odisha and some other places in India. And we as a state are very lucky. And we are the only state in India. Odisha is the only state in India where we have three crocodilian species.
ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନମସ୍କାର। କଳିଙ୍ଗ ଇତିହାସର ସଦ୍ୟତମ ଅଧ୍ୟାୟରେ ଯୋଗ ଦେଇଥିବା ସମସ୍ତ ସଦସ୍ୟମାନଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ ସ୍ୱାଗତ ଜଣାଉଛି ଏବଂ ତା ସହିତ ସ୍ୱାଗତ ଜଣାଉଛି ଆଜିର ଅତିଥି ବକ୍ତା ଶ୍ରୀ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ସାହୁଙ୍କୁ। ଶ୍ରୀ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ସାହୁ ଆଜି ଯେଉଁ ବିଷୟରେ ଆମ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ କହିବା ପାଇଁ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ସେ ବିଷୟବସ୍ତୁର ଶୀର୍ଷକ ହେଉଛି ଇନ୍ ସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଅଫ୍ ଏ ଟାଇଗର। ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁଙ୍କ ପରିଚୟ ବାବଦରେ ମୁଁ ଏତିକି କହିବି ଯେ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ସି ଇଜ୍ ଆନ୍ ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଭିଜୁଆଲ ଡିଜାଇନର ଫ୍ରମ୍ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର, ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ। Folk Indica, his unique art style is rooted in the rich cultural history and heritage of art and folk expressions of India. He loves to draw wild and winged creatures and paint them in mud, water, and primary colors. When walking the land in search of his stories, he proudly reserves his biases towards wisdom of wild and tales of the tribes. He hopes to bring the spirit of native art back as the visual language of the land, for the land. In Search of a Tiger, a journey as a wildlife enthusiast and an artist in search of a tiger, revealed a wild world of age-old creatures, rivers, communities, and cultures, but tigers. ତେବେ ଆମେ ଆଶା କରିବା ଯେ ଆଜିର ଯେଉଁ ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟଟି ଆମ ପାଇଁ ଖୁବ୍ ଶିକ୍ଷଣୀୟ ଏବଂ ଆଗ୍ରହୋଦ୍ଦୀପକ ହେବ। ମୁଁ ଅନୁରୋଧ କରିବି ଆଜିର ବକ୍ତା ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ସାହୁଙ୍କୁ ତାଙ୍କର ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟ ପରିବେଷଣ କରିବା ପାଇଁ। ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ।
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your kind introduction. I'll start with the presentation. In Search of a Tiger. ये जो टॉपिक टा मु नहीं ची इन सर्च ऑफ अ टाइगर, व्हाट डज इट मीन? जो जर्नी टा आमे जो ए बाघ को खोजिबा को जो बाहरी छि, ए जर्नी टा बाघ सेंट्रिक हेगी काहे अछि। आम देश रे बाघ गोटे की क्रिएचर इन आवर वाइल्ड। तो इन सर्च ऑफ अ टाइगर गोटे आरंभरू एटा मोर माने इंटेंशन नथिला, किंतु टाइगर जेहेतु गोटे फ्लैगशिप स्पीसीज सेटा मीडिया आ लोकों को अटेंशन रे सदा बेले थाए, तो तार माने ताको यूज करिकी आमे विभिन्न जगह को एक्सप्लोर करि परिबा। सेति पई इन सर्च ऑफ अ टाइगर मोर टॉपिक रो ना। So I was born in Bhubaneswar, Odisha, and I say to my friends that I was born among the trees, tribes, and temples. When I say that I am from Odisha, I don't only mean a geographical piece of land that is called Odisha. What it means for me being from Odisha is that each and everyone who is born in this state has a beautiful burden on his shoulder, a beautiful burden of carrying forward a legacy, right? So what is that legacy that our state boasts of? So our state, the motto of our state, the tagline for the tourism sector of our state is India's best kept secret. Why is that so? What is the legacy that was secret for such a long while? And what is the legacy that the youth and the generation to come forward has to carry on its shoulders? Right. So, as you can see in this image, this is the legacy, the forms, the colors, the native people, all of this today are hard work and passion of our ancestors. This is the legacy we have to carry forward. So when I say I am from Odisha, I am representing this all these cultures, these colors, these forms, and everything that is associated with the country, with the state, and not just the tribes. It's also the legacy of art and tradition, the sculptures, the paintings that we see in and around us, the cultural aspects too. All of these, when they come together, they form this state Odisha. So when I say again that I am from Odisha, I'm carrying forward, I'm striving to carry forward this legacy. And along with the legacy of art and tradition, culture, there is also a legacy of natural heritage. So when I'm showing these pictures of natural heritage, what we must keep in mind is also that along with the various cultural aspects and historical aspects, we have a sense of responsibility along with us. That responsibility is the responsibility of coexistence. We have been living along with various other wildlife, wild creatures who have been residing along with us in the jungles, in our urban spaces as well. So this is also the legacy that we'll be carrying forward. Coming to the next slide, the folk narrations. While I was studying in school in Bhubaneswar, or in my growing years, in the initial years of my childhood, the folk narrations, folk stories that you hear from your grandparents, your teachers, and other folks around you, and the folk art, be it folk art or any other form of art. When you travel across the city, you will come across many sculptures, many paintings. So all of these in tits and bits, they have a subconscious presence in your mind. They are not taught to you, but when you come across these scenes, they have a place in you, which eventually help you grow and help you build yourself. Right. So this was the initial years of me in Odisha. Next, coming to my education. So, I left Odisha after my plus two and I went to Delhi for my graduation in Bachelor's of Design, Communication Design in NIFT Delhi. So, there I graduated in 2016. And as I named this chapter, A Call from the Forests Not So Far Away. So during my graduation project, I had the theme of my graduation project was wildlife. It was based on wildlife research and conservation. So I thought of visiting a national park which was close to Delhi. So I went to Rajasthan, and you all must be very aware of the place called Ranthambore National Park, right? So Ranthambore National Park in Rajasthan is the first place that I went to. Even though Rajasthan as a state is far from Odisha geographically, but culturally it's quite similar to that of Odisha. The colors, the culture, the folk art legacy, the historical legacy, all of this is quite similar to Odisha, right? So the first visit was to Ranthambore. So here, when I was researching on my subject, when I was researching on what to do in my graduation project, I visited many places along with the tiger safari that we did, the safari, jungle safari. Along with that, I also went across Dastakar. That's a place in Savai Madhopur wherein they stitch local fabric and create stories of the wild over there. So I saw those fabrics, those textile work. It was quite fascinating to see all those, right? So these are some of the pictures from Dastakar. So they were practicing local folk art called fur painting, as you can see in the image of a king hunting down a tiger. This is one of the local folk art of that region, the Fud painting. And above that, you can see a painting of a tiger from Ranthambore School of Art. So what all these artists do is paint different kind of scenes from the jungle, be it a tiger painting, be it local wildlife paintings, and they used to, paint this and also stitch this in fabrics and make products and sell them. So what I did was take this uh, idea of understanding the local art, understanding what all wildlife stories are there, so that it can be incorporated and there can be something new to generate. So I created a range of products for my graduation projects, as you can see here. So I researched and talked to local people regarding the wildlife stories. I came across a very fascinating story of a tiger for whom people across the world used to visit Ranthambore. The tiger was called Machli. So, Machli tiger is the reason why Ranthambore today has a huge population of tigers. So, Machli was, she lived for about 15, 20 odd years, one of the oldest living tigers in India and across the world. And so, even that story was incorporated in my paintings, as you can see on the left side of the panel. And uh, so, along with these folk representations, I also created a lot of products for young people to interact with. So this was the final project. And then, yeah, these are some of the visuals from that same graduation project. As you can see, various folk forms have been taken from fur painting. The textures, colors, all of those has been inspired from the local folk art. And then you can see in the right side, there is a block printing style of art style, which is the tiger and its habitat. So this is again inspired by the local folk and folk stories. So while researching, I could see that the wildlife, when we are talking about wildlife, there is for sure a relation between the land, the wild, and the culture. Because if I had only talked about the tiger, nobody would have understand what kind of tiger I'm talking about. What is the context to it? So because the locals gave the tiger a name. They spoke about its habitat. They spoke about why it is famous. They spoke about its struggle. All of those things were documented. That's the reason that I could summarize that it's not just a particular fact, an individual fact, but there is a story behind it. So this eventually led me to go looking for other stories in other parts of India, other national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So while I came back, did my graduation project, I finished with the graduation project, and then I went to Corbett National Park in search for more stories. So Corbett National Park is again always highlighted in the media. It is more of a celebrity national park of India, right? And it is also the oldest national park. So it attracts lots and lots of tourists every year. And of course, tiger tourism is very prevalent and very chaotic over there. Lots of people visit to see the tigers and wildlife and the exotic scenery over there. But while we were researching and while we were traveling in Corbett National Park, we felt something missing. As I've written over here, there was a gap that information, facts, and figures couldn't fill because all the tourism and all the focus was certainly on facts and figures, on tigers and other species. But there was something missing. The missing part was the fabric on which all of these facts and figures were laid upon. The stories. The stories were missing. So what I thought of doing was to visit places, secluded places in and around the national park so that I can interact with people, bring in more stories, and set a base, set a fabric to the stories that I bring from the wild. And then I could find different ways to represent that stories. So I started going on trails in the fringe forests. For example, I went to Sitabani and I went to Ramnagar urban forest areas, And I used to take trails and meet with local people and interact with them regarding the environment that they live in, the cultural aspects present over there, the wildlife present over there, the biodiversity present over there. This again led me to a very wonderful place, a very beautiful village over there, a very small village with about 30 to 40 families residing, a village called Kyari. This village is about 8 to 10 kilometers from Ramnagar, the capital, the one of the more, major cities. The Ramnagar is the city where we go usually to visit Corbett National Park. So this is the place that I visited. So Kyari is a very subtle village. It's very quiet with very few people, very few natives. But in terms of biodiversity, it's no less than Corbett. It's part of Corbett, but the biodiversity is as exponential as it is in Corbett National Park. But this is the place wherein, while visiting, I was able to interact with the locals over there. These were the Pahadi people who understood the village, who understood the forest around their village. These are the people who interacted with the wildlife, right? So, in order to get stories, I used to interact with them. I used to go to the forests with the local natural guides. These people had a very different way to share their experiences. While walking on the rivers, we used to talk about the various animals that we interacted along the way, the various cultural aspects that were sustained in this particular area. So this ignited a kind of passion and curiosity that we could get very interesting stories from these places, and it won't be just regarding any particular species or a particular fact, right? So people in this forest had a profound understanding of the natural ecosystems in and around them. This was the best place that I could go for in order to get interesting stories about the wildlife. And what I could summarize from this, as I've mentioned here, is all of us live and exist in relation and not in isolation. This interesting period of period of time, uh, this travel experience, these interactions, all of this gave birth to folk indica. So, what is folk indica? Folk indica is my innovation. Folk indica is a, f- a new art style which brings forward the wild stories. It mixes them well with the folk art of the region, the regional art style, and because it comes from a particular region, and because it has stories by the natives, and because it is unique to a place, it best represents the place. And because it is native in nature, it is also easily understood by many people. Sorry. So, folk indica in broadly three terms is innovation in terms of folk art, art as a medium, reclamation. Why I say folk indica is a reclamation is because we are reclaiming the stories. We are reclaiming the cultures that we have forgotten in the past. We are reclaiming the history and also honoration. We are honoring the legacy that was the result of our ancestors. So this is what folk indica is. Now in the coming slides, I'll show you some of the works that I did uh, post the innovation. So the first artwork is part of a series that I created, which is called My Picture of Divinity. And the representation that you see over here is the turtle and the sea. This particular phenomena is from a district in Odisha, Ganjam district, and this phenomenon occurs in Rushikulia riverbed, the sea beach, and lakhs of turtle. I'm sure you all must be aware of it, the Aribada. So lakhs and lakhs of turtles come to this place, lay their eggs, go deep inside the sea again, and the hatchlings come up in a few days or about in a month, and they go back to the sea. So this is a beautiful phenomena that is exclusive to Odisha, and it occurs in a few other places, but not in such a large scale. So I thought this is the best story to represent. This also shows you the representation, the relation of land, sea, and the species and the turtle. Thus, the representation could not be captured in a camera, because in a photograph you could see it factually. You could see what it exactly looks like. You could see the lacks of turtle. But folk art, folk indica gave me that freedom to show it in an exaggerated way. As you can see over here, in one single frame, I'm showing you the eggs, the various creatures in and around the eggs, the mythological feature of the snake around the body of the olive ridley turtle in the center, the divine aura around it, and the moon cycle. The moon cycle is very important because this is the cycle on which the laying of eggs and the turtles and the phenomena called Aribada depends on. So, this is the representation of the same. Coming to the second artwork, which is Sacred Borders and Corners. As you must have seen in the Patachitra paintings of Odisha, our local folk art, regional folk art, there is a border around the paintings. Paintings, as we know, gives us freedom. Paintings don't have any formula. Paintings don't have any, principles in particular, or don't have any laws in particular to be followed. So, painting is a very open space that you bring your imagination onto a canvas, right? So, one thing that stuck to my mind when I saw a Patachitra painting is the border around the painting, border around the central frame. So, what is this border? So, when I interacted with the Patachitra painters as to why we put a border across the painting, they gave a very beautiful answer, which is that the painting is very sacred to an artist, and the border is the safe space around that painting. So it's a very beautiful concept, creating a safe space. When we build a room, when we place our bed, tables, and chairs and everything, we build a wall around us so that we remain in a safe space, right? So, this concept of bringing in the border is a very interesting thing that I learned from Patachitra paintings in Odisha. And when I talk about this particular painting, this is a tiger boundary painting. The concept is this particular concept of putting a boundary across the painting is also followed up in the wild. This particular concept is also there in the wild in the form of a tiger's life. If you see a tiger marks its territory. It puts urine, it has claw marks on the mud, and it creates a territory in which it lives. And all those things in and around the territory, for example, the deers, langurs, people, villages, and other animals and birds, and all the activities of the tigers are centered around inside this particular territory. So I wanted to represent that phenomena in the wild, in the nature, and wanted to draw a relevance to the paintings that we do in Patachitra. So this is the concept of the artwork. So coming to this particular painting, the wildlife map of Odisha, this is a digital art that I did during the COVID period in 2020, during the first wave of COVID. This particular piece is very close to my heart because this was a result of many questions that came to my mind while I was studying folk art, while I was studying Patachitra, while I used to interact with Patachitra artists. There was a sense of curiosity in my mind as to why, in a state like Odisha, which is rich in culture, rich in history, it's a tribal state. It has lots and lots of biodiversity, right? And why do we people are not aware or not aware to a certain extent as we ought to be in this particular subject. So I thought, why not create an artwork, give this idea a space, not only a space, but a very sacred space. As you see, as you all must be aware, that in our Odia homes, we, in one way or the other, we have Patachitra painting placed on our walls, in our temples, small temples, or anywhere inside our homes. And that usually has a very sacred, which is usually a very sacred space for us, that holds a very sacred position for us, those paintings, because majorly those paintings carry portraits of Lord Jagannath, Balbhadra, Subhadra, or something related to mythology, Lord Ganesha, Krishna, Leela, etc. So I thought to use that particular layout of Patachitra painting and incorporate the concept that I had in mind and place it. So this painting is a result of that. So what I did is I bought stories from the wild. I brought in stories of the local tribes, the native people, their knowledge, the local wildlife hotspots, the species, and everything. And I incorporated that in a Patachitra layout. And to my surprise, it was very well accepted by the people, not just in Odisha, but throughout India and all over the world. So, yes, this is the painting, Wildlife Map of Odisha. So, this painting led to uh, various forest departments and various individual entities also to commission maps for their states. For example, I did a wildlife map for Andhra Pradesh in their regional folk art, and gradually I did for many other states and wildlife sanctuaries. And as you can see in this particular frame, this is a biodiversity of map of Kalahandi that I did recently, that I worked on recently. Uh, as you can see in this map, I have displayed the local culture. I have displayed the local textile print. I have displayed the local historical places, be it the ancient ruins, be it the species of that particular place, be it the tribes, and all of this incorporated into a single frame, so that once one visits that place and they interact with this map, they will get an idea of that place. This is kind of an interpretation center. This is not the whole thing, but when you see this artwork, you get a sense of the place, and you get a sense of this place easily, because it's drawn in a uh, native style, be it the form, be it the colors, all of those representation. Yes. So this is the artwork. Again, this is another piece, which is the magical Mangla Jodi. As you all must be aware, Mangla Jodi is quite famous these days because of uh, ecotourism, and birders from various parts of India and around the world visit this place for birding, looking at the migratory birds that come to this place. But again, this place is nothing without the local people. The local people took upon themselves to uh, make this place sustainable, to make this place survive for this day, for all of us to be able to witness this magnificent phenomena of migratory birds arriving into arriving into our country and into a particular state. And uh, people get a lot of joy seeing these species, colorful species that come to our state, right? So this painting was incomplete. The place is incomplete without the native people, the work that they do. So I've represented those as well. So when you go to Mangla Jodi, when you see this map, you get a sense of belonging, you get a sense of the people in and around this place, and you also get a sense of the biodiversity. So that was the concept. Coming to the second chapter in the ideas of folk Indica. So conservation as a culture. So this segment I will be talking about my responsibility as an artist. As you can see in these two particular paintings on the left, the first one is where two women are revering to Lord Ganesh, who is also in the form of an elephant. And the second painting, we can see two tuskers fighting, and there is a scene of a war. So Odisha is also called the place of Gajapati. Here we have kings who are called Gajapatis, the kings of elephants, right? So this is the culture that we belong to, and this is the representation of the same. Elephants, when we talk about elephants, if you if you have come across this fact that recently came up, is that there is a decline of about 80% of wild elephants in our state. This is very alarming. So what is the reason? First of all, if you witness these paintings, you can see this reverence, this relationship that we had with the elephants in our ancestral years, previous years, is no longer pertaining, and we no longer practice the same. So this may be one of the reasons that the interaction, because of low interaction and less reverence, this situation has come up. So when you see the second painting, the third painting, Rite of Passage, as you can see on the screen, this painting is showing the dying condition of the elephant and the current situation that we are facing in our country as well as in Odisha. As you can see, five different portrayals of the conflict, that the elephant and human conflict that we go through. You can also witness the cultural and folk aspects that I've shown on the map. So this is to give an idea to the viewers that this is the situation we are in. And on the left, the paintings show the situations we were in. So when we see all of this together, we get an idea of why we are in a place now and why the situation hasn't improved. Or if the situation has improved, why it has improved. So folk art as a medium has given us that freedom to document the to document the past as well as to document the current situation as well. Sorry. Along with that, I have also worked on various projects with the local wildlife organizations. For example, if you see the parakeet, this was to save the parakeets. Sorry. As you must be aware of, even today, after having so many wildlife laws, people still keep parakeets in their homes, the suas. So this painting was to denote the current situation of the parakeets. These birds belong to the wild. These birds have significant position in our cultural and traditional aspects as well. As you can see on the Rath, on the Jagannatha Rath and other Raths as well, we have two parakeets sitting on the top of the Rath. These are the cultural aspects that we often forget with time. So this was to bring people back and help them observe and understand the situation and the cultural and traditional aspect that I wanted to show them so that they understand about the creature in focus. Similarly, this is about the hyena in coastal areas of Odisha, which are declining. The population of hyenas are declining. So this was to give an idea of the environment that they live in, and this was the depiction. Similarly, I have drawn something for the pangolins along with organizations such as Nandan Kanan Zoo. And again, this is about the otters or Udha and regarding the conservation of the same. This is again conflict management about the four very special creatures that are often caught amidst wildlife conflicts and also conflicts with humans, the elephants, the macaques or the monkeys, the cobras, snakes, as well as wild bears, sloth bears. So this is the depiction of the same that you can see on the left. And on the right, this is the depiction of ghadial. So ghadials are found in Odisha and some other places in India. And we as a state are very lucky. And we are the only state in India. Odisha is the only state in India where we have three crocodilian species: the saltwater crocodile, the swamp crocodile, as well as the ghadial. So this is the only state, and we are very proud of that. And we should do anything and everything that we can in our capacity to help sustain this population of this crocodilian species. So this painting of ghadial was to educate the people, students, uh, regarding the environment that the species lives in and the threats that they face. So this was for educational purposes. All of this painting serve an educational purpose. Yeah. So this painting again is a very interesting one because uh, particularly in the current helm of affairs, uh, we must be hearing about black tigers in Simlipal. So black tigers have been here for a while, and again, our state is the only place in the world. Simlipal National Park is the only place in the world, whole world, where we can find black tigers. So this painting was commissioned by a scientist, wherein I'm depicting the black tiger as well as a normal tiger to denote the situation that is present in the national park and the study that has been going on in that place as to why this particular tiger in this particular habitat is becoming blacker and blacker day by day. The pigmentation is increasing. What is the reason? So there is a lot of research that has gone on for about 15, 20 years regarding this particular species, and this is the depiction of the same. So I'll be talking more about it in the coming slides. Again, not just the environment and the stories in general, folk Indica also gave me the freedom to highlight a particular species. For example, on the left, you can see a tiger in Simlipal. So Simlipal means Simlipal is the place which is filled with simul trees, the cotton silk trees. So which have five leaves in particular, which is quite abundant in that area. So that is the depiction that I wanted to show. A tiger amidst that leaves and the tree flower, the simul flower. And on the second artwork, you can see the depiction of pale-capped pigeon. So this pigeon has now been unofficially called the city bird of Bhubaneswar, city bird, unofficially city bird, because this is a rare bird that comes visits our city Bhubaneswar in winters mostly, and it's found in and around the forests of Bharatpur, in Ekamra Park to be very precise. In that areas we can find this species. So in order to have our focus on that species, saving this species, working for the conservation of the environment of this species, we can also help folk art to denote particular species and facts about them. So this is a representation of the same. This is also another interesting piece on what Mahanadi means to me. This is a depiction of Mahanadi River. Mahanadi for me is like a boat, a boita. Odisha has a very ancient maritime history, as we all know. So I wanted to incorporate that element into our river and I have a visualization of the same. So as you can see here, the tail of the fish, the Mahasir fish, is the origin point of Mahanadi River, that dot that you can see near Debrigad. And from that to the fish opening its mouth, as the river opens its mouth, opens its way, and comes towards the coast, it gives birth to many elements, be it local folk art, be it temple cultures, be it Odissi dance, local folk art in terms of dance. So all of these are innovations because we as a state are civilizational state. We are a river civilization. So keeping that in mind, this is the depiction of a Mahanadi river depicted as a boita with the ending in front of a wild geese, bar-headed geese. So as you can see, the bird at the mouth of the river, where it interacts with the sea, is in shape of a bird. So this particular bird, the bar-headed geese, is a bird that flies very high and travels long distance, which is again representation of how our ancestors used to carry our stories, used to do business with other countries, right? We had a maritime relation. So all of these are depicted in this particular artwork, along with the natural history and the environment. that existed in that particular time and is existing particular today. Yeah, so this is very interesting. As I say, I haven't seen a tiger in the wild yet, but the exploration that I have been doing for about 5 6 years now has led me to see many tigers, very different tigers, as you can see the representations in this panel. Other than the Patachitra tigers of Odisha, there are various folk arts, various folk stories, and all of these stories have led me to see different kinds of tigers, be it fur tiger of Rajasthan or airpan tiger in Uttarakhand. So I consider myself lucky that I'm I wasn't, like every other human being. I'm not just seeing a particular tiger, image of a particular tiger, but I'm lucky enough to be seeing tigers in various forms, colors, shapes, sizes. So, as you have seen some of my works, I have been often asked why I choose this medium, why folk indica in particular, why not any other medium to express my imagination, to tell my stories. So I have explained these in nine different points. So the main reason I can say is that when we follow uh, art styles of today's, the modern art styles, it has a certain influence to a large extent. Actually, it has an influence of the West. There is a certain element of colonialism still pertaining in our uh, art forms, art styles, be it music, art, or dance. And for example, the colors have lost that primariness, the textures, the forms have all been subdued. Our traditional mediums were very loud, bold, exaggerated. So I wanted to bring those elements back. So that is the main reason. Other than that, I have explained those reasons in nine particular uh, points, which is uh, folk indica mirrors its native land in its form, mimics winds and waters in its flow. So what I mean by it is when I see a particular thing, and if you also see a particular thing, it might be the same thing, but we have different ways of visualizing a particular thing, right? So when I see a tiger for me could have a very different sense. It could be very different from a tiger that you are seeing. For example, the tiger that we draw in Rajasthan has a sense of royalty in it, a sense of royalness, be it the postures, be it the colors, because Rajasthan has a sense of royalty in it. They are the people who are known for their hospitality. They are the people who are known for the kings and kingdoms. But if you compare it to the tigers of Tibet, the tigers of Himalayan region, you will see the tiger have a certain flow on them. They are drawn in a certain flowy style because the environment of that particular region, the the clouds, the winds, all of these have a certain impact in our imagination, in our way of viewing a creature. So when you see a Thanka painting of Himalaya, you will see that the stripes of the tigers in that paintings are very flowy in nature. But in paintings of Rajasthan, they are a bit rigid, they are a bit bold. So that is the point. Another point is they are inked tales of human animal relation on the surface of time. So, on any given moment of history, whenever folk art as a medium is used to tell stories, it is timeless in nature. While documenting, and when you come across a folk art or any medium, music, art, dance, but particularly art, you will see that these art styles these art styles have a impression of that particularly time printed on them. So this is another essential reason that I used folk art as a medium. Another point is it renders wild beings as understandable, cordial, and relatable. Why I say so is because when the natives, when the people living in and around those particular creatures or wild creatures, they give a certain context to it, right? So it becomes understandable for the other people, for the people who come across that representations. So other points are also impressions of undivided earth. Folk art is also like a wild animal, fierce and free. For example, if you take a photograph of a tiger, if, or be it any creature, you will just have that particular species in focus and the environment. But folk art gives you that liberty, that freedom to exaggerate. For example, if I fear the eyes of a tiger, I will draw a tiger with larger eyes. If you fear the claws of the tiger, or you find it very uh, s- uh, sensational to see the claws of the tiger, you will draw larger claws on the tiger. So art gives you that sense of freedom, that freedom to draw it in a particular style. So similarly, a ride into the past, because folk art has also documented various past events. So it helps that ways also. It is also the art of the people, by the people, for the people. It is pretty self-explanatory. And it is the art for everyone because it's folk art and folk means people. So it is art of the people. And it is also very inclusive representation of local voices. Because when I'm drawing art in my regional style, it represents me. And when a particular person draws in their regional style, it becomes unique to them. So it's also representation of local voices of many places in our country and around the world. So these are 9 very interesting points on why folk art as a medium is very important. Another very important question is folk art mythological? So why this particular point comes to mind and general curiosity around this term mythological is there is because majorly depictions shown in folk art are that of mythological stories, be it stories from Ramayana, be it stories from Mahabharata, or mythological characters and history. But I don't think folk art is limited to that. Why I say so is because w- even when you see a depiction of Krishna ji in a painting of Lord Krishna, you will see depiction of other species in and around Lord Krishna as well. You will see a particular tree species, you will see stalks, other bird species, river, water, which are also present in today's world, right? So that is also a documentation of natural history other than just mythology. So folk art is not only mythological, it is mythological as well as historical. Again, in today's world, folk art has a very important relevancy as well. If you see this particular painting that I've talked about earlier as well, this is also folk art also uh, becomes the bridge. Today, this is the world of data. All of us, be it the scientist, be it journalist, all of us are busy collecting data, are busy collecting data in terms of research, in terms of findings. But us common men, in order to understand that data, we have to have a visual understanding of the same. So this is where folk art becomes a bridge and acts as a medium to represent that particular data. Over here, you can see this representation is a work of 13 years of research that scientists from Bangalore did in Simlipal, and they came with a finding that the particular case of the black pigment in tigers or the findings of black tigers in Simlipal is because of interbreeding. So this is not a fact to be very happy about, but this is a very interesting study that had been going on for a while. And this is a representation of the same. So in order to bring attention of various people, many people to these particular subjects, the data would have found it very difficult because the data is in terms of statistics and numbers. But when you show those numbers, statistics, and words in forms of visuals, it is easier to understand about that particular subject. Right. So this is the representation of that particular finding. And along with that, a reason why folk art is also a medium, is also a bridge in between common people and science, and not just limited to science, it is also limited to showcasing conservation efforts that is going on in our country. So this particular painting is of Kendrapada district, where this man named Bijay Kumar Kavi, he has been working for about 30 plus years for conservation of the mangrove forests in Kendrapada district, which also has Bhitarkanika National Park. And this is a representation of the work that he has been doing. So this representation also works as an inspiration to the people, to the younger generation, to students in schools and colleges. So it can help them inspire, it can help them understand the world that people have been living and working for. And this will also help them work for a better future of our state and our country. So this is a representation of the same. So over these years, I've come to a conclusion that this folk art is also based on 2R theory, which is R for reception and R for representation. Reception is of a story for its local audience. And what it does after reception is representation of the same land. Because if you just receive and not represent, then the story remains in that particular region. It will not be available to other people. So reception and representation is very essential. So what folk Indica does post the research is represent, because when they represent in their folk language, it becomes understandable and receptive to a wider global audience. Coming to folk art into education. So, as you have seen in all these paintings that I've done, and in this particular painting in particular, this is a representation of kingfisher birds of Odisha. These are very colorful, beautiful birds. But what we have to understand from this is why folk art is essential for learning in a very early age as well. Because in our childhood, the first book that we get on our hands is that of alphabets. A, B, C, D, E, F, right? A for apple, B for ball. So, what is the depiction in that scene? The apple that we remember from our childhood is a red dot, red circle. And when we become adults, we come across apples of different colors, textures. But in our childhood, we were very familiar with a very red color apple, red colored shape. I'm sorry. Thus, folk art becomes a primary teacher, because when its form is bold, it's organic, it's wild, it's exaggerated, it is easier for the younger people to understand. And eventually, when they understand a certain concept from the very beginning, it helps them represent and work for it in the future, in other stages of life, in advanced stages of life. Thus, folk art as educational tool is also very important. Coming to a very a good news that I came across 1 year back, not very exactly, but in current times, is this concept of professors of practice. So this is the news from KIT University in Bhubaneswar, wherein the university brought in experts from the field of art, music, and dance, and they wanted to incorporate this folk studies into their general studies. I thought this was a wonderful idea, because this will also help them understand their land better, help them help them expand that horizon that they live in currently. Because in this technical world, what happens is we forget about the base. So these folk teachers bridge that gap. Thus, I found this very interesting, and it will be very useful if we could incorporate this folk mediums, not just art, but music, art, and dance, which is a very essential for our day-to-day life. It was previously music, art, and dance were uh, our everyday life. They were represented in our everyday life, but today it has become very exotic. Art has become exotic. We have to, in a way, bring it back so that it becomes our daily life, right? A habit in our daily life, because all of us in a way have to represent certain work that we do. So art is the best medium to represent, right? Be it illustrations, sketches, drawings. So we must learn, uh, be it our local language, local folk art, and other mediums as well, to communicate better with our folks and represent our land for to a global audience as well. Coming to the final slide of my presentation. So this is the key learning. And what I have to say at the end is history and heritage that lives in our state, that lives in Odisha's visual legacy, has built our identity and community. And we, as citizens of this state, have to work very hard, use and explore all of these mediums to sustain this identity and community. I'd like to end my presentation with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sudarshan Babu. Your presentation was really excellent, and I was so happy to see those paintings that you uh, showed. They look kind of tantalizing and so endearing that I was to, I mean, cuddle those animals. They look
Mhm.
so inviting. Thank you for the excellent and insightful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I think I will request our participants, members, to make comments and ask any questions if they have any. And for that, I would
Sure.
request Prita Madam to take over the question and answer session. And I also request members to kindly switch on your camera. So while asking questions, you may switch on your microphone, but you all can switch on your camera at least. We can have a uh, we can see who all are participating today. And Sudarshan, if you can please switch off your presentation. Uh,
Okay, sir.
Prita Madam, are you there?
ଆଜ୍ଞା
Okay.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଅଛି ପ୍ରଥମେ ତ thank you so much to Sudarshan. This has been one of the most memorable, visually stunning, and thought provoking, talks that we have heard yet. ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ।
Both the-
ଅନ୍ୟମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ଯେଉଁମାନଙ୍କର କିଛି କହିବାର ଅଛି, any questions, any comments, any thoughts, English, Odia, any medium is fine. Sudarshan is okay with both. ପ୍ରଥମେ ମୁଁ ଧନଞ୍ଜୟ ସରଙ୍କର hand raise ଦେଖୁଛି। Sir, please go ahead.
Namaskar. It was an excellent presentation by our elder brother, and I have nothing to speak, but only two points, two things. That first, my question is that you told in folk arts there is no proper tradition or no proper framework system in mind, just abstract. I could not get that point. When one artist going to do something with proper vision, first he will think, then he will draw or paint. So in folk art, you told there is no proper tradition or no proper systematic framework like that something. I could not catch that. Just give some light. And another suggestion, in kids, university, higher education, if professor of practice, they are collaborating, and inclusive education for students, for community, why not in middle school or secondary or in school level, or government or any NGO or private school authorities, why they are not doing such things, that performing arts, dance, music, literature, like that, this folk art should be made as syllabus, at least for a training for a graded subject, if not for marks. So we should start through Kalinga history platform. We can start pressurizing government that this type of education should be given at the beginning of the childhood, so that our culture, our community, our identity will be upheld. And my question is that first question you told in folk art, why there is no proper tradition to draw or to paint. I want to know that. You told actually, but I could not get that point. Sorry
Okay.
from my side. Okay.
No worries, sir. Thank you so much for the question. So, what I was talking about was art in general, not folk art, but art in general, is when we have a canvas in front of us, we have imagination and certain visualizations in our mind, but there is no certain principle that we have to follow in order to have that representation. Nobody is saying us to draw it in a particular style, right? So that is what folk art is. It is wild. Whatever imagination that you have, you can put it on the canvas. It doesn't have to follow any principle. That is the freedom it is giving to us. For example, I have to show you a tiger. I want to show you a tiger from Rajasthan. In order to understand that the tiger is from Rajasthan, the tiger will have to, that image in particular of the tiger will have to be from a place where you can see the Rajasthan fort, where you can see some species of trees which is only found in Rajasthan, where you could see certain elements that will tell you that this tiger is from Rajasthan, right? So, if I'm a photographer, I will have to create that whole scene. I will have to wait for the tiger to come to that particular scene in order for me to capture that and tell the world that, see, this tiger is from Rajasthan. But when I'm an artist, when I'm a folk artist or an artist, I can paint that. I can show the tiger in a royal way. I can draw fort around the tiger. I can draw the species. I can create the whole imagination of my own in any given point of time. So that is the freedom I was talking about. This is the first question. Coming to the second one, uh, I think this was the first instance when I got to know about the professors of practice being initiated in KIT University. I think we must all welcome this. In schools and college level, this has been going on as guest lecturers have been coming in with ideas regarding the same. This has not become a, mainstream practice, but I welcome your idea. I think this should be practiced all over. We should encourage people to draw in folk style. We should encourage people to tell the local stories in their own style. Right. This should surely be done. I'm all for it.
Thank you. Thank you.
बहुत धन्यवाद थैंक यू सो मच वर्तमान मु डॉक्टर विश्वभारती मैडम कर हैंड रेज बटन देखुची मैडम यू कैन अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ आउ वीडियो भी ऑन करके रख परिवे कहंतु
समस्त को नमस्कार मु तो निश्चित भाव में ओडिया कहबी कारण आम जिते 10 जन ओडिया एकाठी अच्छे आम जदि ओडिया कथा न कहवा आम आउ कहीं ना ओडिया कथा कहवाई मु भावुची आम समस्ते बुझीपर तेणु सुदर्शन बाबू भी बुझीपारे तेणु मु ओडिया कहूँ मु गोटे एंथ्रोपोलॉजी रो स्टूडेंट कल्चरल एंथ्रोपोलॉजी रो से हिसाब रे मु जिते पढ़ुली आमर आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट्स सब उपरे आमर सब जिते बहुत पुराना पेंटिंग सब रॉक पेंटिंग सब अच्छी आमर जर्मनी रे फ्रांस रे एमिति कि भारत रे मध्य आमर अच्छी अनेक पेंटिंग जोड़ा कि पहाड़र गुंफा मानक भितर केव पेंटिंग सब होइछि जोड़ा हजार हजार वर्ष तळे एमिति कि लक्षे वर्ष तळर पेंटिंग मध्य सेठी अच्छी सब सेथिरु जणा पडुछि से समय रे को प्रकार जीवजंतु थिले जेमति कि राइनस उली राइनोसरस मैमथ और एमती अनेक प्रकार जीवजंतु जो माने कि वर्तमान विलुप्त आउ पृथ्वी रे से माने नाहंती कोठु कोठु से मानकर फसिल और स्केलेटन एमती किछि हमको माटी तळु मिलुछि किंतु सब जिनिसर मिली पारि नाही मिलिले मध्य भी ताकू गोटे जीवंत जंतुटा केमिति हेतिबो गोटे स्केलेटन रु सेते बेसी रिकन्स्ट्रक्ट करबाटा संभव नहो किंतु गोटे जदि पेंटिंग थिबो ताले हमें जानि परिबा जे से पेंटिंग टारु गोटे जंतुटा केमिति हेतिबो ମୁଁ ଏବେ କିଛି ଦିନ ତଳେ ଆମେ ମୁଁ ସୁନୀଲ ଭାଇଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଆମର କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ହଉଥିଲି। ସେ ଜଣେ ବହୁତ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ, ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଯେମିତି ଆମର ଆଶୁ କବି ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ କଥା ପଢିଲେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ତାକୁ ଧରିକି ଗୀତ ବୋଲି ଦିଅନ୍ତି, ସିଏ ସେମିତି ସାଙ୍ଗେ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ଡ୍ରଇଂ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତି, ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କେଚ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତି କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷର କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ଆମେ ହେଲା ଭିତରେ। ତ ତାଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ ସେଇ କଥା କହୁଥିଲି ଯେ ଆମର ଯେତେ ସବୁ ଆମର ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକାଲ ଏଭିଡେନ୍ସ ସବୁ ଯେତେ ଅଛି, ଆମର ଆଇଦର ମେରିଟାଇମ ଟ୍ରେଡ ବିଷୟରେ ହଉ ବା ଆମର ଯେକୌଣସି ଆମର ଇତିହାସରେ ଯାହା ସବୁ ଅଛି, ଯୋଉଗୁଡାକର ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଲିଖିତ ପ୍ରମାଣ କେବଳ ଯୋଉ କପର ପ୍ଲେଟ ବା ରକ୍ ଏଡିକ୍ଟସ ମାନଙ୍କର ମିଳୁଛି, କେତେକ ଜାଗାରେ ତାର ଯୋଉ ସ୍କ୍ରିପ୍ଟ ଗୁଡାକ ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଡେସିଫର ହେଇପାରିନି। ଯେମିତି କି ଆମର ମହେଞ୍ଜୋଦାର ହରପ୍ପାନ ସିଭିଲାଇଜେସନ ର, ମେସୋପଟାମିଆର ସିଭିଲାଇଜେସନରେ ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ସିଲ୍ ଗୁଡାକ ମିଳିଛି, ସେଥିରେ ଯୋଉ ଯାହା ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି ସେଥିରେ କିଛି ଜଣା ପଡୁନି। ତ ସେଥିରୁ ଆମେ ଇତିହାସକୁ କିଛି ଜାଣିପାରୁନୁ। ସେ ସମୟର ଇତିହାସ ଲେଖା ଅଛି, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେଥିରେ କଣ ଲେଖା ଅଛି କିଛି ବୁଝା ପଡୁନି। କିନ୍ତୁ ସେଥିରେ ଯୋଉ ସିଲରେ ଗୋଟେ ଷଣ୍ଢର ଚିତ୍ର ହେଇଛି, ଜଣେ ମହିଳାଙ୍କର ଚିତ୍ର ହେଇଛି, ବା ଆଉ କଣ ଏମିତି କିଛି ଯୋଉ ଚିତ୍ର ସବୁ ହେଇଛି, ସେଇଥିରୁ ବୁଝା ପଡୁଛି ସେ ସମୟର କଣ ଥିଲା ସଂସ୍କୃତି, କିଛି କିଛି ଆମେ ସେଇଥିରୁ ରିକନଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଟ କରିପାରୁଛେ। ତ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଥିଲି ଯେ ଆମର ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ ତ ବହୁତ ସୁନ୍ଦର କାମ ଗୋଟେ କରିଛନ୍ତି, ବାୟୋଡାଇଭରସିଟି କନଜରଭେସନ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଆମର ଫୋକ୍ ଆର୍ଟ ଥ୍ରୁରେ। ଆମର ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ ଲାଗିଲା ମତେ ତାଙ୍କର ନୂଆ କନସେପ୍ଟ ଟାକୁ। ତ ସେ ଯୋଉ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଯୋଉ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଲି ଆମର କିଙ୍ଗ ଫିସର ମାନଙ୍କର କରିଛନ୍ତି ଇଏ, ଆଉ କିଛି ଦିନ ପରେ ସେ କିଙ୍ଗ ଫିସର ସବୁ ଆମ ପାଖରେ ନଥିବେ। ଏମିତି ଆହୁରି ଅନେକ ଜୀବଜନ୍ତୁ ଯୋଉମାନେ କି ବହୁତ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଲୋପ ପାଇଯିବେ, ଆମର ନିଜର ଭୁଲ ପାଇଁ ହଉ ବା କ୍ଲାଇମେଟ ଚେଞ୍ଜ ପାଇଁ ହଉ। ତ ସେସବୁକୁ ଯେମିତି ଆମର ଆଦିମ ମଣିଷ ମାନେ କେଭ୍ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ କରିଥିଲେ ଲକ୍ଷ ବର୍ଷ ତଳେ, ସେ କଣ ରଙ୍ଗ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରିଥିଲେ ସେ ସବୁ ତ ଆମକୁ ଜଣା ନାହିଁ। ତ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ସେଇ ଜୀବଜନ୍ତୁ ମାନଙ୍କର ଚିତ୍ର ଯଦି ସେମିତି କରିଦିଆଯାଆନ୍ତା, ହୁଏତ ଆଉ ଲକ୍ଷେ ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଲୋକ ମାନେ ଯିଏ ଥାନ୍ତେ ସେମାନେ ଜାଣନ୍ତେ ଯେ ଏଇ ଜୀବଜନ୍ତୁ ଦିନେ ପୃଥିବୀରେ ଥିଲେ, ଚଳପ୍ରଚଳ ହଉଥିଲେ। ତ ଏଇ ଇଏଟା ମାନେ ଇନିସିଏଟିଭ ଟା ଯଦି ଆମର ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ମାନେ ନିଅନ୍ତି, ତାହେଲେ ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ବଡ କାମ ହେଇପାରିବ ଆମ ଜୀବ ଜଗତ ପାଇଁ, ଆମର ସୋସାଇଟି ପାଇଁ। ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ।
ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ମ୍ୟାମ୍। ମୁଁ ଏଥରେ ଗୋଟେ ଏମିତିଆ ଗୋଟେ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ ଆଡ୍ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି। କିଛି ଦିନ ତଳେ ମୁଁ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିଥିଲି ଆମର ବର୍ଡ ଡାଇଭର୍ସିଟି ଉପରେ। ଆମର ଯୋଉ ବିଲୁପ୍ତ ହେଇଯାଇଛନ୍ତି, କାଫି ସାରା ବର୍ଡସ୍ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉଟା ବିଲୁପ୍ତ ହେଇ ସାରିଲେଣି, ଆଉ ବହୁତ ସାରା ଏମିତିଆ ପକ୍ଷୀ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉଟା ଏବେ ବହୁତ ରାଜ୍ୟରେ ଆ, ମାନେ ଲୋକ ପାଉନାହାନ୍ତି, ସେଇଟା ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲେ ଏବେ ପାଉନାହାନ୍ତି। ତ ଏହା ମଧ୍ୟରେ ଗୋଟେ କାହାଣୀ ଥିଲା ଗ୍ରେଟ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ବଷ୍ଟର୍ଡର, ଯାହାକୁ ଗୋଧାବନ କୁହନ୍ତି ରାଜସ୍ଥାନରେ। ତ ତାର ଯେତେବେଳେ ମାନେ ଡିସାଇଡ୍ ହେଇଥିଲା ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ କି ୟାକୁ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ବର୍ଡ କରାହବ, ସେତେବେଳେ ତାର ଲୋକାଲ ପପୁଲେସନ କେତେ ଥିଲା ସେଇଟା ଜାଣିବାକୁ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲା କି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ ଗ୍ରେଟ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ବଷ୍ଟର୍ଡ କୋଉ କୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ଆ, ମାନେ ଲୋକ ତାକୁ ପାওয়াଯାଏ, ଆଉ କୋଉ ଜାଗାରେ ସେ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକାଲି ଥିଲେ। ତ ଆ, ତାର ଗୋଟେ ମ୍ୟାପ୍ଟା ତିଆରି ହେଲା। ସେଇ ମ୍ୟାପ୍ରେ ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟିଂ ଜିନିଷଟା ଏଇଆ ହେଲା କି ସେଇ ସାଇଣ୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କ ହାତରେ ଗୋଟେ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ଲାଗିଲା, ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ପଟ୍ଟଚିତ୍ର ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ। ସେଇ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂଟା ଏବେ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ଆର୍କାଇଭ୍ସ ଡିପାର୍ଟମେଣ୍ଟ ସହିତ ବୋଧେ ଅଛି, ଯାହା ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଲି। ସେଇ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂରେ ଆବାଉଟ୍ 1850s ପାଖାପାଖି ଗୋଟେ ଡେପିକ୍ସନ ଥିଲା ଗ୍ରେଟ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ବଷ୍ଟର୍ଡର ଇନ୍ ସଦର୍ନ ଓଡ଼ିଶା। ସୋ ଆଜ୍ଞା, ସୋ ସେଇ ଡେଟାଟା ହେଲ୍ପ କଲା ସେଇ ରିସର୍ଚର୍ସ ଆଉ ସାଇଣ୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଟୁ ଗେଟ୍ ଅ ଆଇଡିଆ ଅଫ୍ କି ମାନେ କୋଉଠି ସେଇ ବର୍ଡସଟା ପାଉଥିଲେ। ତ ଏଇଟା ମାନେ ଆଜ୍ ରିସେଣ୍ଟ ଆଜ୍ 1800s and 1900s ଯଦି ଆମେ ପାଉଛୁ, ତାହେଲେ ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ମାନେ ଏମିତିଆ ମାନେ ଆମର ଏଇ ଫୋକ୍ ଆର୍ଟ ହଉ, ଲୋକ କଳା ହଉ, ଏଗୁଟା ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ହେଲ୍ପ କରିବ, ଆଗକୁ ବି ହେଲ୍ପ କରିବ। ଏଇଟାକୁ ବୁଝିବା ବି ଦରକାର, କାହିଁକିନା ଆମେ ବହୁତ ଡାଇଭର୍ସିଟି ଏମିତି ଅଛି ଯୋଉଟା ଲୋକ ଆଜି ଯାଇ ଜାଣି ବି ନାହାନ୍ତି। ସେଟା ବିଲୁପ୍ତ ହେଲା ପରେ ବି ଜାଣିପାରିବେନି କି ବିଲୁପ୍ତ ହେଇଗଲା। ତ ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସିବିଲିଟି ଆମର ଏଇଟା ହଉଛି କି କଣ ଅଛି ଆମେ ଜାଣିବା, ତାକୁ ବୁଝିବା, ତାପରେ ତାର ସଂରକ୍ଷଣରେ ଲାଗିଯିବା। ତ ସେଇଟା ଆମର ଚେଷ୍ଟା ରହିବ।
ବହୁତ
ଆଚ୍ଛା।
ବିଶ୍ୱବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟ ପାଇଁ ଆଉ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଆନ୍ସର ପାଇଁ ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ମୁଁ ଶୁଭେନ୍ଦ୍ର ବାବୁଙ୍କର ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ରେଜ୍ଟା ଆଗ ଦେଖିଥିଲି, ଆପଣ କୁହନ୍ତୁ, ତାପରେ ଶୀତଲ, ଡକ୍ଟର ଶୀତଲ ହାଜ୍ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ରେଜ୍ ବଟନ୍। ସୋ ଶୁଭେନ୍ଦ୍ର ବାବୁ go ahead please.
ଆଜିର ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟଟି ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଥିଲା। ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଜଣେ ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟର ଚିନ୍ତାଧାରା ବିଷୟରେ, ଗୋଟେ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ କଲା ବେଳକୁ କ'ଣ ସେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିଛି ସେ ବିଷୟରେ କିଛିଟା ଧାରଣା ହେଲା। କିନ୍ତୁ ଏ ସମ୍ବନ୍ଧରେ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ ଉଠୁଛି ଯେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜଣେ ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ଗୋଟେ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ଆଇଡ଼ିଆକୁ ନେଇକିରି, ଆଉ ସେ ଚିତ୍ରଟି ଅନ୍ୟ ଯେଉଁ ଦର୍ଶକମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ସେତେବେଳେ ଯଦି ସେ ଆଇଡ଼ିଆଟି ଠିକ୍ ଭାବରେ ସେମାନେ ଡେସିଫର କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଜାଣିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ତାହେଲେ ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ସେ କେସ୍ରେ କ'ଣ କରିବ? ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ହେଉଛି ଯେ ନା ତାକୁ ଆମେ କିଛି ପେଣ୍ଟିଂକୁ କିଛି କ୍ୟାପସନ୍, କିଛି ଟାଇଟଲ୍ କି କିଛି ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲାନେସନ୍ ଦେଇକିରି ଆମେ ବୁଝେଇବା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା ଦରକାର। ଏଇଟା ହେଲା ଗୋଟିଏ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ। ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ହେଉଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ ଗୋଟେ କଲର୍ ଡିସାଇଡ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ କଲା ବେଳକୁ, ନର୍ମାଲି କେଉଁ କଲର୍ ଦେଉଛନ୍ତି? ଯେମିତି ଧରନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଏକ୍ସପ୍ଲେନ୍ କରିବା କଲର୍ରେ ଟାଇଗରଟିକୁ କରିବି ନା ନର୍ମାଲ ଯେଉଁ କଲର୍ରେ ଆଭେଲେବୁଲ୍ ଅଛି, ବ୍ଲାକ୍ର ଆଭେଲେବୁଲ୍ ଅଛି, ୟେଲୋର ଆଭେଲେବୁଲ୍ ଅଛି, ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଟାଇଗର ଅଛନ୍ତି, ସୋ ସେଇ ଅନୁସାରେ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ନା ଅଲଗା କିଛି କଲର୍ ବି ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣମାନେ?
ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ସାର୍, ବହୁତ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟିଂ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ଟା ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଫର୍ଷ୍ଟ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍। ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ୍, ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ମାନେ ଅନ୍ ଲାଇଟର ନୋଟ୍ କହିବାକୁ ଚାହିଁବି, ଏଇଠି ତ କିଛି ପରମାନେଣ୍ଟ ନାହିଁ ପୃଥିବୀରେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଡେପିକ୍ସନ୍ ୱାଇଜ୍ ଆମର ମାନେ ଆମେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁ ଯେତେ ଅଧିକ ମାନେ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ୍ଟା କ୍ଲାରିଟି ସହିତ ହେଇପାରିବ, ସେଇଟା ଆମର ଚେଷ୍ଟା ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ଥାଏ। କିନ୍ତୁ ମାନେ ଆମେ ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ ଦେଲେ ବି ଲୋକ ସେଇ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟଟାକୁ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ ପରୀକ୍ଷା ନେବେ ଏଇଟା ମାନେ ସିଓର ନାହିଁ। ମାନେ ଏ ଫର୍ ଆପଲ୍ ମୁଁ କହିବି, ଏଇଟା ୟାଠାରୁ ଅଧିକ ଡିରେକ୍ଟ ମୁଁ ହେଇପାରିବିନି ଏ ଫର୍ ଆପଲ୍, ବଟ୍ ଇଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ନଟ୍ ଅପ୍ ଟୁ ମି ଇଫ୍ ପିପଲ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ନଟ୍ ବିଲିଭ୍ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆଜ୍ ଆନ୍ ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ଆମେ ପୁରା ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବୁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ତାର ସେ କେମିତି ତାକୁ କନସିଭ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଇଟା ଟାଇମ୍ ହିସାବରେ ବି ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇପାରେ। ତ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଓପେନ୍ ଫର୍ ଇଣ୍ଟରପ୍ରିଟେସନ୍ ୱିଥ୍ ଟାଇମ୍। ତ ଆମେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା ନିଶ୍ଚୟ କରିବୁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମର ମାନେ କାହିଁକିନା ଆର୍ଟିଷ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ଲିବରାଲ୍ ଆଉ ସେଇ ମାଇଣ୍ଡସେଟ୍ରୁ ବି କରନ୍ତି, ତାର ଓପେନ୍ ଫର୍ ଇଣ୍ଟରପ୍ରିଟେସନ୍ ବି ଥାଏ ଆର୍ଟ ଗୁଡ଼ା ମେଜରଲି। ମାନେ ଆମେ କୌଣସି ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ସବଜେକ୍ଟ ବିଷୟରେ ଯଦି କରୁଛୁ, ଫର୍ ଏକ୍ଜାମ୍ପଲ୍ ମୁଁ ଟାଇଗର ଦେଖେଇଲି, ତ କିନ୍ତୁ ମୋତେ ଯଦି ଶିମଲିପାଲର ଟାଇଗର ଦେଖେଇବାର ଅଛି, ଆଇ ୱିଲ୍ ହ୍ୟାଭ୍ ଟୁ ଡ୍ର ଦ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇପ୍ସ ମୋର୍ ବ୍ଲାକ୍, ମୋର୍ ଥିକର୍। ମୁଁ ବହୁତ ତାକୁ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଦେଖିବି, ତାହେଲେ ଆପଣ ଜାଣିପାରିବେ ଏଇଟା ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଟାଇଗର, ଆଉ ଏଇ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଟାଇଗରଟା କେଉଁଠି ମିଳେ? ଶିମଲିପାଲରେ। ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଫର୍ ଏ ଗିଭେନ୍ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ। କିନ୍ତୁ ସେଇଟାକୁ ମୁଁ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ନ କରିକି ୟେଲୋ କରିଦେବି, ଇଟ୍ ୱିଲ୍ କନଫ୍ୟୁଜ୍ ୟୁ। ତ ଆମେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବୁ ଯେତେ ଆମେ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ୍ଟା ବେଷ୍ଟ କରିପାରିବୁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଅଗେନ୍ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡସ୍ ଅନ୍ ଦ ଭ୍ୟୁଅର୍ସ। ଆମର ଭ୍ୟୁଅର୍ ଉପରେ ବି ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରେ କି ସେ କେତେ ତାର ମସ୍ତିଷ୍କ ୟୁଜ୍ କରିକି ସେଇଟାକୁ ବୁଝିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛି, ଆଉ ତ କଣ୍ଟେକ୍ସଟ ବି ମ୍ୟାଟର କରିବ ସେଇଟା।
ଭିଉର ନଲେଜ ବି ସେ ବିଷୟରେ ଦରକାର, କାହିଁକି ନା ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ସାହିତ୍ୟ ପଢିଲା ବେଳେ ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଛି ଗୋଟେ 4 ଲାଇନର କବିତା ଅଛି, ଜଣେ ଜଣେ ଟିଚର ତାକୁ 1 ମିନିଟରେ ବୁଝେଇ ଦିଅନ୍ତି, ଆଉ ଜଣେ ଜଣେ ଟିଚର ତାକୁ 3ଟା କ୍ଲାସ୍ ନିଅନ୍ତି ବୁଝେଇବା ପାଇଁ। ସୋ ସୋ ସେଇ ଅନୁସାରେ ମାନେ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଏଙ୍ଗେଲ୍ସରେ ବି ବୁଝାନ୍ତି, ଯେଉଁଥିରେ କି ଆମର କ୍ଲାରିଟି ହୁଏ, ଆମେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଦିଗରୁ ଚିନ୍ତା କରିବାକୁ ଆମକୁ ଉସ୍କାଏ। ସେମିତି ଯେମିତି କହିଲେ ଶିମିଳିପାଳରେ କୋଉ ଟାଇଗର ମିଳୁଛି, ଆମର ନଲେଜ ବି ଥିବା ଦରକାର, ଭିଉଅର୍ସ ନଲେଜ ବି ଥିବା ଦରକାର, ଅଦରୱାଇଜ ସେ ବୁଝିପାରିବନି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା, ତ ଏଥିରେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ସାର୍, ସେ ଏଇଟା ଅଗେନ୍ ଭେରି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟିଂ ଜିନିଷଟା। ଏଇଥିରେ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି କି ଯଦି ମୁଁ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇପ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଅଧିକ ଦେଖେଇବି, ତ ଭ୍ୟୁଅର୍ ଯେ ଟାଇଗର ଦେଖିଛି ଜେନେରାଲି, ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୟୁରିଓସିଟି ହବ ଏଥରକୁ ଅଧିକ କଳା ରଙ୍ଗ କାହିଁ ଦିଆହେଇଛି। then he will start researching. So this is also acting as a base for your curiosity, এই আর্টটা
Right.
এইটি ବି ହେଲ୍ପ କରୁଛି। ଆଉ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ରିଗାର୍ଡିଂ ଦ କଲର, କଲର ଅଗେନ୍ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରେ, ଯେମିତି ଇନିସିଆଲି ମାନେ ଆମର ଆନସିଷ୍ଟର ଯେମିତି କରିଥିଲେ ସେ କଲର୍ସ ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲ ପିଗମେଣ୍ଟସରୁ ତିଆରି କରିଥିଲେ। ଇଟ୍ ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଡ ଅନ୍ ଦ ଆଭେଲେବିଲିଟି ଅଫ୍ କଲର୍ସ। ଯେମିତି ମୁଁ ଜଙ୍ଗଲରେ ରହୁଛି, ମୋ ପାଖରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାରର ଫୁଲ ଗଛ ସବୁ ଅଛି, ତାକୁ ରଙ୍ଗକୁ ଘଷିକି ତିଆରି କରିକି ଆମେ କରୁଥିଲୁ। ଯେ ଡେଜର୍ଟରେ ରହୁଥିଲେ ସେ ଚାରକୋଲ ପଥରକୁ ଘଷିକି ରଙ୍ଗ କରୁଥିଲେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଆଜି ଆମ ପାଖରେ ବହୁତ ମିଡ଼ିୟମ୍ସ ଆସିଗଲାଣି, ତ ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ମୋର ମେଜରଲି ପେଣ୍ଟିଙ୍ଗସ୍ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଡିଜିଟାଲ, କିନ୍ତୁ କଲର କେଉଁ କଲରଟା ଚଏସ୍ କରିବାର ଥିବ ଯେତେବେଳେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆସେ, ସେତେବେଳେ କଣ୍ଟେକ୍ସଟା ଡିପେଣ୍ଡ କରେ। ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୁଁ ରାଜସ୍ଥାନର ଦେଖେଇବି, ରାଜସ୍ଥାନର ଦେଖେଇଲା ବେଳେ ମୋର ଏନଭାୟରମେଣ୍ଟଟା ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ସେଠି ଡସ୍କି ଏନଭାୟରମେଣ୍ଟ, ଟିକେ ଅର୍ଦି ଟୋନ୍ ରହିବ, ଟିକେ ସଏଲ ସାଣ୍ଡ ଟେକ୍ସଚର ରହିବ। ତ ଏଇ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ମେଥଡରେ ହିଁ ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ଆସିଯାଏ, ତାପରେ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ କରିବାକୁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁ।
ଠିକ।
ବ୍ରିଲିଏଣ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ସୁମେନ୍ଦ୍ର ବାବୁ ଆଣ୍ଡ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ। ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ମୁଁ ଡକ୍ଟର ଶୀତଲ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଛନ୍ତି ବର୍ମାରୁ। ଡକ୍ଟର ଶୀତଲ, ପ୍ଲିଜ୍ ଗୋ ହେଡ୍ ୱିଥ୍ ୟୋର କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ଅର୍
Thank you. Thank you, Preeta madam. Sorry, ମୁଁ ଏବେ just walk କରିକି ଫେରିଲି ତ, I will not open the camera. And thank you ସୁନୀଲ ବାବୁ ପୁଣି ମତେ କନେକ୍ଟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ, କାରଣ ଶୁଣା ଯାଉଛି ନା ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା
ଆଜ୍ଞା, ସୁନୀଲ ବାବୁ thank you again to reconnect me. म्यांमार व्हाट्सएप ଆଉ ଫେସବୁକ୍ ବ୍ୟାନ୍ ପାଇଁ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ହ୍ୱାଟ୍ସଆପ୍ ନମ୍ବରଟା ପରମାନେଣ୍ଟଲି ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯାଇଛି, ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ। ମୁଁ ତ ପୁରା ଶୁଣିପାରିଲିନି ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସେସନଟା ସାର୍, ବଟ୍ ଯାହା ବି ଦେଖିଲି କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର ଜାଣିଲି, ବହୁତ ସୁନ୍ଦର। ଆଉ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ଆର୍ଟ କଲଚରଟା ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଏଇଠି ଯୋଉ ଗୋଟେ ବର୍ମା ମନ୍ଦିରରେ ସେ ଟ୍ରେଡିସନାଲ ଇଣ୍ଡିଜିନିୟସ୍ ଆର୍ଟ ଗୋଟେ 100 ବର୍ଷର ପୁରୁଣା ଆର୍ଟଟେ ଅଛି, ରାମ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମଣ ସୀତାଙ୍କର। ସେଟା ଯୋଉ କାଚର ପଛପଟୁ ସେମାନେ ସେ ଆର୍ଟଟା କରିଛନ୍ତି, ଭାରି ସୁନ୍ଦର ହେଇଛି ସେ ଟ୍ରେଡିସନାଲ ଆର୍ଟଟା। ସେମାନେ କାହାକି ଦିଅନ୍ତିନି, ବହୁତ ଲୋକ ଆସିକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ ପଇସା ଯାଚିଲେଣି। ଗୋଟେ ଏଣ୍ଟିକ୍ ଆର୍ଟଟା ଏଠି ବର୍ମାର ଗୋଟେ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ମନ୍ଦିର, ଜଣେ ଓଡିଆ ଲୋକ ସେଇ ସମୟରେ ସେ ଯୋଉ ଆମର ସିପ୍ ଆସୁଥିଲା, ସେ ସିପ୍ରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ ସ୍ଥାନାନ୍ତରିତ ହେଲେ, ସେ ଭାବିଲେ, ତାଙ୍କ ବାପା ଜେଜେବାପା ତାଙ୍କୁ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ କାହିଁ କୋଉ ପରିସ୍ଥିତିରେ ନେଇକି ଆସିଲେ ସେଟା। ସେ କହିଲେ କିଛି ତ ଏଠୁ ନେଇକି ଯାଇବନି, ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଜିନିଷ ମୁଁ ନେଇକି ଯାଏ ସେ ଦେଶକୁ, म्यांमारକୁ, ଓଡିଶାରୁ। ତ ସେଇ ଆର୍ଟଟା ନେଇକି ଆସିଥିଲେ। ଯେତେବେଳେ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ମନ୍ଦିର ହେଲା, ସେ ଜଗନ୍ନାଥ ମନ୍ଦିର ସେ ଆର୍ଟଟା ବି ରଖା ହେଇଛି। ତ ଏଇଗୁଡାକ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଜିନିଷ ଆଜ୍ଞା। ଆଉ ସୁନୀଲ ବାବୁଙ୍କୁ ତ ମୁଁ ସାଧୁବାଦ ଦେବି, କଳିଙ୍ଗ ହିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଯୋଉ ଆମର ଚାଲିଛି ଏଇ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ସବୁ ଏଇଗୁଡାକ ବହୁତ ଜିନିଷ ଆସୁଛି। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଆମେ ଏବେ ପ୍ଲାନ୍ କରୁଛୁ
ସାର୍, ଖାଲି ସୁନୀଲ ବିଶ୍ୱାଳ ନୁହେଁ, ପୁରା ଟିମ୍।
ହଁ ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି। ଆଉ ବିଶ୍ୱଭାରତୀ ମ୍ୟାଡାମଙ୍କର ତ ମୁଁ ଆଜ୍ଞା ପଢୁ ପଢୁ ତାଙ୍କ କଥା ଶୁଣୁ ଶୁଣୁ ମତେ ଭାରି ଭଲ ଲାଗେ, ମାନେ ଭେରି ଅନେଷ୍ଟ। ମୁଁ ସାଇଲେଣ୍ଟଲି ପଢେ, ସେ ଯାହା କହନ୍ତି ଶୁଣେ, ଏତେ ଲଜିକାଲ। ମାନେ ଆପଣ ଟିମଟା ବହୁତ, ମାନେ ଆମ ଟିମଟା ସବୁ ବହୁତ ଭଲ, ସେଟା ଡେଫିନେଟଲି ସତ। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜଷ୍ଟ ମୁଁ ଏଠି କହିବି, ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ଲାନ୍ କରୁଛୁ, ଅଲରେଡି ବହୁତ ଟିମ୍ ଯାଇ ସାରିଲେଣି। ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ କମ୍ପାନୀ ବି ଅଛି ଯୋଉଥିରେ ट्रावेल्स एसोसिएटेड टूरिज्म हमरो चार्टर फ्लाइट्स जाए कलकत्ता। तो सेही समय आमे जेतो ग्रुप भेजू, एबे गोटे नुआ येटे करछु जे खाली सेटा हाइलाइट करा होची हमरो यूरोपियन ऑफिस गुडा करे बर्ड वाचिंग। बर्ड वाचिंग ग्रुप 3 to 5 days बर्ड वाचिंग ग्रुप हम किछि फोटोग्राफर्स सब सेमान के संगे एसोसिएट करछु। ए जो हमरो फोक आर्टटा रहिछि, आमे किछि अन्य जगह को जेतले पठौतलु सेमान को इंडिया भितरे किए गोबर रे केमती आर्ट करछि, जो भाई कहउतले पत्र रे फूल रे सेतरो जो केमती आर्ट करछि, सेगुडा को भारी ऑर्गेनिक आर्ट जोठी अछि। आमे से जगह को पठौ, तांको घर को पठौ, से आर्टिस्ट सहित भेटौ। से टूरिस्ट जो यूरोप जो जानती जो माने यूरोपियन माने बा एम्बेसडर हाई प्रोफाइल जो माने से भारी भल पांती सो नुआ नुआ। तेणु आम राज्य रे जहा जहा सेमिति अछि, मु तो जानि नै कि करंती बा को माने मेन फोक आर्टिस्ट। एक्चुअली मझे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स हमको मगैला कि फोक आर्ट, जमती आम ये पठेलु बाली रे, गोबर रे, आ पत्र रे, धान रे, ये सब जिनस से पुणी से जहाँ बिक्रीला ना पैसा पुणी फेरई देले से गुड़ाक। तो एग्जिबिशन जो हुए पठाऊ, तो आमे आम राज्य वी आर वेरी हैप्पी एंड इंटरेस्टेड टू लिंक आम पाखे मु सेपरेटली आपण सहित कथा भी पुणी जो निश्चित भाव रे जे टू आइडेंटिफाई जो आर्टिस्ट माने जो माने एक्चुअली सॉरी डिजिटल तो समस्त पाखे अच्छी आर्टिफिशियल बट जोटा एबे भी ऑर्गेनिक अच्छी हाथ रे जो माने करूछंती से माने को ऑफ कोर्स आमे आइडेंटिफाई करिया पई चाहिबो और पठेवा पई चाहिबो टूरिस्ट मान को पे that can be chargeable from their side also, so no issues. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर शीतल मु विभू पट्टनायक बाबू अच्छा आम मान सांगे आज से भी तांकर आर्ट वर्क आमर ओडिया ट्रेडिशनल आर्ट फॉर्म सांगे बहुत क्लोज कनेक्शन तेणु विभू सर आपण जदि दयाकोरी निजर ऑडियो ऑन करी किछि कहबा को चाहिबे दयाकोरी कहंतु विभू सर अनम्यूट करंतु
यस यस हाँ ना ये बहुत सुंदर हेतला मो भॉइस सुबुछि तो
यस
सुबुछि ना हेलो
आगे आगे शुभुछि
हाँ हाँ ना ना ये बहुत सुंदर हेतला ये जो आपनकर प्रेजेंटेशन आउ से जो चित्र गुड़ाक भारी बहुत ही अट्रैक्टिव बहुत सुंदर हेतला आउ तार जो आपण जो बाघ टाइगर जो व्यवहार करिसेंती टाइगर गोटे हमर ओडिसा पट्टचित्र रो गोटे बहुत बड़ माने रिपीटेटिव मोटिव आउ सेटा मते खूब भल लागिला आउ आपणकर मु जानि नथिली आपण एते एते सुंदर काम करिसेंती पट्टचित्र रे आउ ता साथरे गोटे एक्टिविटी आर्ट एंड एक्टिविटी ये दीटा जिंस आर्ट एक्टिविस्ट भलिया मते फील हला आपणकर जो चित्र आउ बस मु एति कहि परिबे मु बेसी किछि ये नाही बहुत बढ़िया हेतला
धन्यवाद बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर हम
हाँ
चेष्टा माने आमे गोटे आर्ट सहित गोटे जेमती कहती कि गोटे माने ता सहित गोटे लिंक हबार था तार गोटे आइडिया टा केमती आगु जाऊ किछि आइडिया सहित एसोसिएट करिया को चेष्टा करू सो दैट वी हैव पर्पस आर्ट गोटे पर्पस थाउ सेही रीजन जोगु मु एबे वाइल्ड लाइफ ऊपर फोकस करकी एनवायरमेंटल एजुकेशन ऊपर फोकस करकी ही काम करूची विथ वेरियस बीट फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट हो प्राइवेट इंडिविजुअल्स हो जे मानकर कामटा रिगार्डिंग एनवायरमेंटल एजुकेशन एंड वाइल्ड लाइफ तो सही पर्पस टाको रखिकी आर्टवर्क टा तैयारी होची
आ गोटे कथा कहबी जो आपण से जो बॉर्डर विषय रे कथावार्ता हले पट्टचित्र रो बॉर्डर जेतेबेले जेकोसी आर्टिस्ट जेतेबेले पट्टचित्र ऊपर किछि फ्यूजन रे किछि काम करिया को चाहे प्रथम क्वेश्चन सेटा आपण इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट आउट कले जे बॉर्डर विषय रे आपण कहले जे जो बॉर्डर टा जणे फॉलो करिवो कि न करिवो से द्वंद्व रे सबले पड़े सो सेटा गोटे इंटरेस्टिंग कथा आपण कहले जोटा कि मु भी पट्टचित्र साथी रे काम करूची रिसेंटली माने लास्ट आफ्टर कोविड माने ता पूर्वर मु गोटे आर्टिस्ट विभिन्न माने फाइन आर्टिस्ट आ पट्टचित्र मु दीटा जक जाने किंतु पट्टचित्र को नै करी 2-3 वर्ष ला सेही समय एई क्वेश्चन गुडा को सब मु भी करिची जे आमे से बॉर्डर को रखिबा ना न रखिबा सेठु सेठु मु जानिली जे गोटे बही पढ़ला बेले म जणा पड़िला आनंद कुमार स्वामी से विषय रे से कहिसंती जे आपण जोटा कहले से ठीक कहिसंती सेटा को से कहउचंती जे सैक्रेड आ प्रोफेन ता भितरे डिवीजन आनिया पे से बॉर्डर टी करा जाए माने ता भितरे दैट्स इट टू कट ऑफ फ्रॉम द म्यूंडन वर्ल्ड पाखरु कट ऑफ करिया पे सही बॉर्डर टी करा जाए सेटा बहुत मीनिंगफुल बट अनेक समय आर्टिस्टिक फ्रीडम को संकीर्ण कला भलिया भी लागे बॉर्डर तो से सब जगह से जो गोटे इंटरनल क्वेश्चन आउ ताको सेटा को आपण जो फेस करछन डील करछन भलो करछन सेटा गोटे भलो कथा कहले आपण मैं सेटा सुनथुली आज्ञा
बहुत धन्यवाद विभू सर एंड सुदर्शन फॉर बोथ ऑफ यू अगेन मु इंद्रमणि सरकर वीडियो ऑन देखुची इंद्रमणि सर आपण दया करी आपणकर वक्तव्य रखंतु तापरे मु बबिता मैडम कर किछटा मेसेज अछि जदी से जदी कहिबा को चाहिबे नले हमें पढि देबो मेसेज करिका इंद्रमणि सर बैक ऑन टू यू
मु ताले रहिली नमस्कार समस्त को मु
आज्ञा
आपण लीड
ଆଜ୍ଞା
नमस्कार
ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଆପଣ ମତେ କହିଲେ ଭିଡିଓ ଅନ୍ କରିବାକୁ ମୁଁ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଅନ୍ କଲି ମୁଁ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଏଇ ସବୁ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ଉପରେ ଦେଖିକି ମତେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଲାଗିଲା କେତେ ପ୍ରକାର ବାଘ କେତେ ରଙ୍ଗର ବାଘ କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ କହୁଛି ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଠି ଅଛି ମୋ ଗାଁରେ ଲୋକମାନେ ସବୁ ପଥରରେ ସବୁ କରନ୍ତି ଚିତ୍ର ପଥରରେ କଳା ସବୁ କରନ୍ତି ଶିଳା ଶିଳ୍ପ ଦେଖେ ମୁଁ ଯିଏ ଜଣେ ଭଲ କରିଥିବ ଆଉ ଜଣେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲେ ସେ ସେଇ ଟାଇପର କରିବ ମନେକର ଆମ ଓଡିଶାରେ ଜଣେ ବାଘ କରିଛି ପ୍ରଥମେ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଯିଏ ଆସିବେ ସେଇ ପ୍ରକାର ବାଘ କରିବେ ମହାରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରରେ ସେମିତି ଗୋଟେ ବାଘ କିଏ କଲେ ପେଟଟା ଚାରିକଣିଆ ହେଇଥିବ ତାଙ୍କ ଏରିଆରେ ଲୋକମାନେ ଫଲୋ କରିକି ତାକୁ ବେଟର କରିବା ପାଇଁ ସେଇ ଟାଇପର କରିବେ ତେଣୁ ମୁଁ ରିଜନାଲି ଯୋଉ ଯୋଉ ଲୋକ ପ୍ରଥମେ କରିଥିବ ହି ୱିଲ୍ ବି ଫଲୋଡ ଆଉ ତାପରେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆମକୁ ଏନଭାଇରନମେଣ୍ଟ ଏତେ ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସ କରୁଛି ଯେ ଆମ ଗାଁଟା ଖଣ୍ଡଗିରି ପାଖରେ ଆଗରୁ ବହୁତ ଜଙ୍ଗଲ ଥିଲା ଆମ ଗାଁରେ ଯେତିକି ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି 7ଟା ପିଲାଙ୍କ ନାଁ ଲୋକଙ୍କ ନାଁ ହଉଛି ଭାଲୁ 3ଟା ପିଲାଙ୍କ ନାଁ ହଉଛି ବାଘ 2-3ଟା ହାତୀ ଅଛନ୍ତି କେତେ ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସ ଆମକୁ କରୁଛି ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ତେଣୁ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ଖଣ୍ଡଗିରିରେ ଏକ ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟପୂର୍ବ 100 ମସିହାର ସବୁ ଗୁଡା ଆର୍ଟ ଅଛି ଆପଣ ତା ଦେହରେ ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ ପାଇବେ ଜିନିଷ ବାଘ ଭାଲୁ ହାତୀ ଏ ସବୁଗୁଡାକ ମାନେ ଟିପିକାଲ ମାନେ ସବୁ ମନ୍ଦିରରେ ବି ସେଇ ଟାଇପର ପରେ ହେଇଛି କିନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ ଖାରବେଳ ନିଜେ ଯୋଉଠି ହାତୀ ଗୁମ୍ଫା ଅଛି ସେ କଣ ତାଙ୍କ ମୁଣ୍ଡକୁ ଆସିଲା ସେ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ବାଘ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ସାପ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ବେଙ୍ଗ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ ଭାଲୁ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଆଜି ଦେ ଆର୍ ମେକିଂ ଏ କନଫରେନ୍ସ ଅଫ ଆନିମଲ୍ସ ମାନେ ମଣିଷ କେତେ ଇନଫ୍ଲୁଏନ୍ସ ହଉଛି ଆନିମଲ ମାନଙ୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ସେମିତିଆ ତ ଆମର ସବୁ ବାଘ ଭାଲୁ ହାତୀ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ମୁହଁ ଗୁଡା ଓଡିଶାରେ ଯେତେ ହେଇଛି ସେଗୁଡା ସମାନ ଦେଖାଯାଏ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହୁଛି ଯେ ଦେयर ଇଜ ଏ ଟ୍ରେଣ୍ଡ ସେଟର ଇନ୍ ଆନ୍ ଏରିଆ ଯାହାକୁ ଫଲୋ କରିକି ଜଣେ ଆଡଭାନ୍ସ କରିକି ଯିବେ ଆଉ ସବୁ ଆର୍ଟ ମାନେ ଏନଭାଇରନମେଣ୍ଟ ଆଉ ସୋସାଇଟିର ରେପ୍ଲିକା ଏଗୁଡାକ ସବୁ ଆପଣ ଯୋଉ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଏଗୁଡା ଡେଫିନେଟଲି ଇନ୍ କୋର୍ସ ଅଫ ଟାଇମ ଇଟ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ବି ହେଲ୍ପଫୁଲ ଟୁ ଦି ସୋସାଇଟି आवर कल्चर आम कल्चर में बहुत साहाय्य करिवो आउ आमे एमती टाइप रो माइनर माने माइन्यूट जिंस को जिबा सपोज आजिकल जने पिला थेसिस करथिला मु सुनिली जे इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज रे व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन मेल एंड फीमेल इन स्पोकन वर्ड्स देखंतु केते केते माइन्यूट माने जदी जने पुरुष कहिवो आसो बाजार जिबा जने स्त्री लोक कहबा आसो बाजार जिबा स्वामी कहबो हे जल्दी आसो धाई आसो बाजार जिबा बंद हे जो माने तार डोमिनेंट वॉइस रहइबो तेणु एठी आपण जो जिंस देखुचंती कोठी रंगटा कोन करिवे कोटा आउरी फर्दर प्रीवियस टू मार्जित हबो आपण जो बागटा करूचंती आपण चिमलीपाळ बाग देखि नथांतु तथापि बाग करिवे करिकि ताकू गोटे शेप देबे कलर देबे किछि गोटे आपणकर स्पेशलिटी रखिबे हैं दैट इज दी ग्रेटनेस ऑफ एन आर्टिस्ट आपन बाघ गुड़ी तो बहुत भल लगिला थैंक यू
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
डॉक्टर जेना सर थैंक यू बहुत धन्यवाद सबले जेना सर निजर पेशेंट मानू देखा सांगे आमर ये कार्यक्रम भी जोग दियंती आमे बहुत बहुत
एठी मैडम गोटे अल्ट्रासाउंड कली 3टा सीरियस पेशेंट आ 4 जण बसचंती देखुची ता सदरा आपन प्रोग्राम भी एते इंटरेस्ट अछि सुनुची
अच्छा बहुत धन्यवाद सर बट बबिता मैडम कर किछिटा मेसेजेस रे कमेंट्स थिला बबिता दीदी आपन जदि किछि कहबा को चाहचंती आपण अनम्यूट करी कहंतु नाले आमे आपनकर मेसेज टा पढी देबो
नमस्कार मु बबिता पटनायक मु यूएस रो गोटे बहुत छोटो आमे एठे विलेज को सेठे रहउछु आ मु किड्स विथ ऑटिज्म स्पेक्ट्रम डिसऑर्डर रे मु काम करे स्कूल रे फ्रॉम 2 years to almost 20 years old तो हमरो जो बेसिक like for occupational therapy मु occupational therapist हमरो hand functions ऊपर बहुत फोकस करू सेथिरे आमे hand painting को emphasize करू because it helps with sensory integration, it helps with eye hand coordination. So मु जेबे आपनकर presentation ता सुनिली digitally how you are doing it was very interesting because आजिकली तो सब छुआ माने बहुत डिजिटल कॉन्टेक्स्ट रे करूछंती so this is something that I would really like to connect with you to take it to another level of utilizing these as therapeutic concepts for my kids with autism, because tankara most kids who have autism, they are visual learners, and colors, the contrasting colors, they get very attached to it. Like right away you can get the eye contact, jota ki ame usually find karu ki chua mankar jar autism thae se mane eye contact karantini. So this is like a very nice concept that I'm finding. ମୁଁ ତ ବହୁତ towards the end ଆସିଥିଲି. I wish I was there before, but I will go back and look into the recording. But Sudarshan sir, that's the visual representation जोटा आपण कहिले, that is very very significant. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ମୁଁ କହିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି କି କୋଭିଡ ପରେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିଥିବେ ବହୁତ kids have emotional regulation issues. So ଯେବେ ଆପଣ ଛୁଆମାନଙ୍କୁ who have autism or who have sensory disorders, ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯଦି ଆପଣ animals କୁ ଦେଖାନ୍ତି, so they have that concept of compassion, empathy, जोटा कि आजिकली बहुत lacking. Everybody is tech oriented, everybody is ମାନେ ସେ जो art and culture रे जो हमरो emotional connection आस्तुला, आमे nature संगे connect करथुलु, you know, all those good aspects are completely going away. So एटा मते लागुछि कि digital level रे जाय कि, I don't know, I'm thinking in that term, maybe I'm going too far off, but apart from एते सुंदर depiction and एते सुंदर आपण माने explain करूछंती जो हमरो roots संगे connect करिबा, एटा आमे କରିପାରିବା ଆମ ଛୁଆମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ in future. And I think you also mentioned something about the research in KIT. I think that's something ଆମକୁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ନା art and culture should be brought into the classrooms again, because when we were growing up, ଛୋଟ ଥିଲା ଆମେ ସବୁ ଆମର ହାରମୋନିୟମ ରେ ଗୀତ ବଜାଉଥିଲେ, ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ଘରେ art and culture ଥିଲା. Even in Bengal there are a lot of art and culture, but we are going away from that, especially in school system. So more bas etiki kahaya thila, and it's a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Apno mane definitely say idea of working with children of various different abilities or autism. I mean, for the past 2 years, many parents have contacted me to purchase my artworks, be it cue cards or something like that, so that they will interact with their children more. ମାନେ ଆଜିକାଲି ଛୁଆ ଗୁଡ଼ା ଯୋଉ ଫୋନ୍ ଧରିକି ବସିଯାନ୍ତି, ତ ସେଇ କଣ୍ଟେଣ୍ଟଟା ଯୋଉଟା ତାର କିଛି ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଲେୟର୍ଡ କଣ୍ଟେଣ୍ଟ ନାହିଁ ଡିଜିଟାଲ ୱାର୍ଲଡରେ, ତ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଲେୟର୍ଡ ଆଉ ଡିସିପ୍ଲିନ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ବି ଆର୍ଟୱାର୍କ ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ତ ସେଇଟା ବହୁତ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟିଂ ଗୋଟେ ସବଜେକ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରିବ ଟୁ ଲୁକ୍ ଅପ୍ ଟୁ।
Yes, I think definitely that can be something we can venture into later on in
Sure.
in our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. बहुत धन्यवाद. Brilliant thoughts and discussions. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ଜିନିଷ ଆଡ୍ କରିବି, ସେତେବେଳେ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ ଏଇଟା ଆଡ୍ କରି ମାନେ କହିନଥିଲେ, ବୋଧେ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟ ଲିଟଲ୍ ଲାଇକ୍ କ୍ୟୁ ଦେଇଥିଲେ। ଶିମିଳିପାଳର ବାଘର ବର୍ଡରରେ ଡିଏନ୍ଏ ର ଡିପିକ୍ସନଟା it looked like DNA to me. Was it an idea of depicting the double stranded DNA?
Yeah.
Because scientific studies ଥିଲା।
So ସେଥିରେ ଆପଣ ଯଦି ମାନେ ଦେଖିବେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଥିକର ଲାଇନ୍ସ ଅଛି, ଗୋଟେ ଥିନର ଲାଇନ୍ସ ଅଛି। So those were the distinction between the two tigers.
म्यूटेशन ହେଇଛି ଯୋଉଟା, ହଁ म्यूटेशन ହେଇଛି ଯୋଉଟା ଯୋଉଟା ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇଛି, ବାସ୍ very nice. And more as I have said before, ମୁଁ ତ ମାନେ every aspect of your work, ସେଟା bio conservation ରେ ହଉ, bringing back our roots ଆଉ heritage ଆଉ ଆମର culture କୁ वापस ମାନେ mainstream କୁ ଆଣିବା, and not just mainstream, grassroots level କୁ to our youngest ever audience ଯୋଉମାନେ ଆମର future common audience. And I'm sorry for the interruption. ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ ନବା ପାଇଁ ଆମର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ରଚେଷ୍ଟାଟା I think will hopefully be more and more stronger with people like you around and more awareness. So thank you again. ଏବେ ମୁଁ ସୁନିଲ ବାବୁଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ I'll just ସୁନିଲ ଭାଇ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ପାଖକୁ back to you. And if anyone else wants to ask any questions, also please kuhantu. Now let Sunil bhai, back to you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Preeta. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preeta, for managing the question and answer session. ମୁଁ କିଛି କଥା ମାନେ ନିଜସ୍ୱ କଥା ମୁଁ କହିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁଛି। ସୁଦର୍ଶନ
ମୋର ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଥିଲା, ମୋର ଟିକେ ଖାଲି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ପଚାରିବି।
ଆଜ୍ଞା,
ସରି ଫର୍ ଇଣ୍ଟରପ୍ସନ୍।
ନାଇଁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା କହୁଥିଲି ଯେ କେଭ୍ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ କଥା, ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ କହିପାରିବେ କି ସେମାନେ କଣ ରଙ୍ଗ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଥିଲେ ଯୋଉଟା କି ଏପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ସେଟାକ ଆଜି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମଳିନ ହେଇନାହିଁ, ସେମିତି ଅଛି? ଯେ ଆମର ତ ଅଜନ୍ତାର କେଭ୍ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ବି 2000 ବର୍ଷ ତଳର ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ଆଜି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଯୋଉଠି ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇନି, ଯୋଉ ଜାଗା ଗୁଡାକରେ ସେ ଜାଗା ଗୁଡାକରେ ପୁରା ଅକ୍ଷୁର୍ଣ୍ଣ ହେଇକି ରହିଛି, ତା ରଙ୍ଗ ଗୁଡାକ ପୁରା ଏକଦମ ବ୍ରାଇଟ୍ କଲର ସବୁ। ତ ସେମିତି କେଭ୍ ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ଆଉ ସେ ଅଜନ୍ତାର ପେଣ୍ଟିଂ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ନିହାତି ଭାବରେ ତ ଅର୍ଗାନିକ ଡାଇ ୟୁଜ ହଉଥିଲା, ତ ସେଟା ଏକ୍ଜାକ୍ଟଲି କଣ ଥିଲା କହିପାରିବେ କି?
मैम निश्चय। तो मैम दी टाइप रो केव पेंटिंग्स ऊपर मु रिसर्च करथिली। वन इज एचिंग मेथड। गोटेला से स्टोन को स्टोन सहित एच करिकी तयारी करथिले। तो विथ ग्रेजुअली विथ टाइम जो सेडिमेंट्स ता ऊपर बसी गला, से सेडिमेंट्स गोटे भितर लेयर बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एचिंग एंड वाज ऑन वन लेयर इज ऑन द सरफेस। से सरफेस डिफरेंस जोगु डिफरेंट कलर फॉर्मेशन हे गला एनवायरनमेंट सहित इंटरैक्ट करिकी। Another way of rock art etching is using different tools, माने metals ହେଇଗଲା କିମ୍ବା ଅଲଗା ଅଲଗା ପ୍ରକାରର ପଥର ସହିତ ଯଦି ଆମେ ୱାଲ୍ରେ ଏଚିଂ କରୁଛୁ କିମ୍ବା ଡ୍ର କରୁଛୁ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଅଲସୋ ରିଆକ୍ଟସ୍। କାହିଁକିନା ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଜାଣିନଥିଲୁ କୋଉ ପଥର ସହିତ କୋଉ ପଥର ମାନେ ଏଚ୍ କଲେ, ସେଟା ଟଚ୍ କଲେ କେମିତିଆ ରିଆକ୍ଟ କରିବ। ସେ ଅକ୍ସିଡେସନ୍ ହଉ କୋଉ ପ୍ରୋସେସ୍ ହଉ, ସେ ପ୍ରୋସେସେସ୍ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଥିଲା। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆମେ ବହୁତ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଟାଇପ୍ ଅଫ୍ रिजल्ट्स देखीचु। बहुत केव्स रे बहुत ब्राइट ऑरेंजेस कलर्स देखा जाए, बहुत केव्स रे रेडिश देखा जाए, और बहुत केव रे एजेई से एचिंग ता अछि ठीक है डार्कर कलर फॉर्म होई हे जाए। तो एमिति एमिति विभिन्न टाइप रो टेक्निक्स अछि।
ବିଶ୍ୱଭାରତୀ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ, ଏବେ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ଆଉ କିଛି ରହିଲା? ବିଶ୍ୱଭାରତୀ ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଆପଣ ପଚାରିବେ? ଆପଣ ଅନମ୍ୟୁଟ କରନ୍ତୁ।
ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁ କହୁଥିଲେ ସେ କଥାଟା।
हाँ मैम मु फिर कह दूची। तो से जो डिफरेंट मेथड्स ऑफ एचिंग थिला, गोटे हैला कि एच करिकी इंस्टेड ऑफ यूजिंग एनी कलर दे यूज टू एच। से एचिंग जोगु गोटे लेयर टा छड़े दउथिले, तो दीटा लेयर हो जाउथिला, गोटे डिबॉसिंग हो जाउथिला। तो एनवायरनमेंट सहित जेतेबे इंटरैक्ट होउथिला, दैट लेड टू डिफरेंट कलर्स ऑन डिफरेंट सरफेसेस। आउ गोटे मेथड हैला दे यूज टू यूज स्टोन्स, डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ स्टोन्स। तो सबु स्टोन गोटे एलिमेंट ऑफ नेचर, तो हाउ विल इट रिएक्ट विथ द वॉल सेटा से जानू नथिले। thus it resulted in different chemical reactions with time, ଆଉ ସେଟା ଅଲଗା ଅଲଗା କଲର ବି ତାର ଯୋଗୁ ଆସିଲା, ଯେମିତି ରେଡିଶ ଅରେଞ୍ଜ କିମ୍ବା ବ୍ରାଉନିଶ କିମ୍ବା ଡାର୍କ ବ୍ଲାକ୍। So that resulted because of the use of different kinds of metals or elements of nature.
ଓକେ, ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
Thank you.
सर ମୁଁ ଟିକେ କ୍ଲାରିଫିକେସନ ଚାହୁଁଛି, ଏବେ ଟାଇମ୍?
କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
ହଁ, ରବି ବର୍ମା ଆଉ MF हुसैन ଏମାନେ पेंटर पेंटिंग करती। राजा रवि वर्मा को पेंटिंग तो पूरा लाइवली देखा जाए, और जो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट पेंटिंग जो मॉडर्न पेंटिंग, तो फोक आर्ट कोथरे बसबो, एब्स्ट्रैक्ट रे ना रवि वर्मा को पूरा लाइवली क्लैरिफिकेशन कि बीच मझिरे रहबो मजा मजी?
सर फोक आर्ट बेसिकली माने गोटे आर्ट स्टाइल नुहे, फोक रो माने ही होची लोक, सेतिबा
आज्ञा
याको लोक कला कुहा जाए। माने जेतेबेले गोटे रीजन रो लोक माने गोटे स्टाइल को माने फॉलो करती, गोटे पर्टिकुलर स्टाइल को प्रैक्टिस करती, सेटा से एरिया रो फोक आर्ट हे जाए, तार किछि पर्टिकुलर स्टाइल नहीं।
ओके ओके ओके, थैंक यू।
ତେବେ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଶେଷ କରିବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ମୋର ନିଜର କେତେଟା କଥା କହିବାର ଅଛି। ଆପଣଙ୍କର ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ ଆରମ୍ଭରେ ଆପଣ ଯୋଉ କିଛି ଭିଜୁଆଲ ଇମେଜେସ୍ ଦେଖିଲେ ସେଥିରୁ ଗୋଟେ ଥିଲା ବଣ୍ଡା ଓମେନ୍। ଦୁଃଖର ବିଷୟ ମୁଁ ରହୁଛି କୋରାପୁଟରେ ଏବଂ ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ପରିଧାନ ଆଜି ସେମାନେ ପିନ୍ଧୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଏବେର ଜେନେରେସନ ସେମାନେ ମନା କରିଦେଉଛନ୍ତି। ଏଇ ଜଷ୍ଟ ବର୍ଷେ ତଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ଜିବିସନ ହେଇଥିଲା, ଓପେନ ଏୟାର ଏକ୍ଜିବିସନ ହେଇଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ ଲମତାପୁରରେ ମୁଁ ଯାଇଥିଲି ଏବଂ ସେଥିରେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଜଣେ କେହି ସାମ୍ବାଦିକ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଅଫର କଲେ ସେଇଭଳିଆ ଡ୍ରେସ୍ ପିନ୍ଧିକି ଫଟୋ ଉଠାଇବା ପାଇଁ, ସେମାନେ ମନା କରିଦେଲେ, କହିଲେ ଆମେ ଏଇଥିରେ ଆମେ ପିନ୍ଧୁନୁ, ଯୋଉଟା ଆମ ପିଲାମାନେ ବି ପିନ୍ଧୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଆଉ ତେଣୁ ସେଟା ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ସେଟା ରହିଗଲା, କେବଳ ଚିତ୍ରରେ ହିଁ ରହିଗଲା, ଆଉ ଆମକୁ ଆଉ ସେଇଭଳିଆ ପରିଧାନ କରୁଥିବା ଲୋକ ଦେଖିବା ପାଇଁ ମିଳିବେନି। ଦୁଇରେ ଆପଣ ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ କଥା କହିଲେ, ଯୋଉ ରିକ୍ଲାମେସନ କଥା କହିଲେ ଏବଂ ରିସିଭ କଥା କହିଲେ ଆଉ ରିପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ କଥା କହିଲେ, ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ସେଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ଖୁବ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଜିନିଷ। ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଲୋକ କଳାକୁ ଆଉ ବ୍ୟାପକ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ବା ତାକୁ ବଞ୍ଚେଇ ରଖିବା ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ବଡ ଜିନିଷ ଗୋଟେ। ମୁଁ ମାନେ ସେଟାକୁ ବହୁତ ପସନ୍ଦ କଲି। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ବଢିଆ କଥା ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ଯେ folk art need not be mythological only। ଏକଦମ ଠିକ କଥା, ଏକଦମ ଠିକ କଥା। ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ମାଛ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ କହିଲେ ବି ସେ ବିଷୟରେ, ମହାଶିର ମାଛ, ମହାନଦୀରେ ସେ ଯୋଉ ମହାଶିର ମାଛ। ବଡ ଖୁସିର ବିଷୟ, କୋରାପୁଟ ଜିଲ୍ଲାରେ ଯୋଉ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ଅଛି ସେମାନେ ରିସେଣ୍ଟଲି ଇନ୍ଦ୍ରାବତୀ ଡ୍ୟାମରୁ ସେଇ ପ୍ରଜାତିର ମାଛ ସେମାନେ ପାଇଛନ୍ତି। ତ ଇଟ୍ ବି ସ୍ଲାଇଟଲି ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ସେ ଯୋଉ ମହାଶିର ପ୍ରଜାତିର, କିନ୍ତୁ କୋରାପୁଟ ଜିଲ୍ଲାରେ ବି ସେ ଯୋଉ ମହାଶିର ମାଛ ଅଛି। ତାଠୁ ବେଶୀ ମୁଁ ବି ଜାଣିନି କଣ ସେ ମହାଶିର ମାଛର ଇଏଟା କଣ, ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି। ଆପଣ କାହିଁକି ସେଇ ମାଛଟା କାହିଁକି ବାଛିଲେ, ଏତେ ପ୍ରକାର ପ୍ରଜାତି ଥିଲୁ ସେଇଟାକୁ କାହିଁକି ବାଛିଲେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଚିତ୍ରରେ ଦେବା ପାଇଁ, ମୁଁ ସେଟା ଜାଣିନି। କଣ ତାର କାରଣ କଣ?
ସାର୍ ମହାଶିର ଯେମିତି ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆମର ମାନେ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକାଲି ମହାଶିର ମହତ୍ଵ ବହୁତ ଅଛି, ମାନେ ତାକୁ ଟିକେ ହୋଲି ଫିଶ ସ୍ପିସିସ୍ ରେ
ହଁ
ନିଆଯାଏ। ତ
ଠିକ।
ଆମେ ଯେତେ ବି ଆନସିଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ହେଇଯାଉ, ଆମର ଆନସିଷ୍ଟର ପ୍ରତି ଯୋଉଟା ରେଭରେନ୍ସଟା ଅଛି ତାକୁ ଆମେ ହୋଲି ମାନୁ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସେ ହୋଲି ଫିଶ ସ୍ପିସିସ୍ ରେ ମହାଶିର ଆସିବା ଯୋଗୁଁ ତାକୁ ୟୁଜ କରାଯାଇଛି, ବିକଜ वी वर्शिप द रिवर्स। ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସେଇଟା।
ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ଫର ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍। ଆଜିର ଯୋଉ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମଟି ବହୁତ ହି ସୁନ୍ଦର ହେଇଥିଲା। ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଚିତ୍ର ଗୁଡାକ ଏତେ ଜୀବନ୍ତ ଲାଗୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହଉଥିଲା ଯେମିତି ହାତ ଲମ୍ବେଇକି ତାଙ୍କୁ ଟିକେ ଆଉଁସି ପକେଇବା ପାଇଁ ଚିତ୍ର ଗୁଡାକ ଏତେ ସୁନ୍ଦର ହେଇଥିଲା। ମାନେ ଆଉ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଦେବି ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ରୀତା ରାଉତ ମ୍ୟାଡାମକୁ, ତାଙ୍କ ଯୋଗୁଁ ଆଜିର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମଟି ସମ୍ଭବ ହେଇପାରିଲା। ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ବି ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଦେବି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଖୁବ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଉଚ୍ଚ କୋଟିର ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟେସନ ପାଇଁ। ଆଉ ଆମ କଳିଙ୍ଗ ଇତିହାସ ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଗୋଟେ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ବିବିଧ ଆମେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛୁ ନଲେଜ ବ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ତିଆରି କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛୁ, ଡାଇଭରସିଫାଏଡ ଟପିକ ଉପରେ, ଏଇଟା ସେଥିରେ ଗୋଟିଏ ସୁନ୍ଦର ମାନେ ଟପିକଟା ଆଡ୍ ହେଲା। ବହୁତ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ। ଆଜି ଯୋଉମାନେ ଯୋଗ ଦେଇଥିଲେ ଆପଣ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ। ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କ ଯୋଗ ହିଁ ଆମେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମଟାକୁ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁଅସଲି କରିପାରୁଛୁ। ତେଣୁ ଆସନ୍ତା ଦିନ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ବହୁ ସଂଖ୍ୟାରେ ଏଭଳି ଯୋଗ ଦେବେ। ଆଜି କଳିଙ୍ଗ ଇତିହାସ ଟିମ୍ ତରଫରୁ ସୁଦର୍ଶନ ବାବୁଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ ଏବଂ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଧନ୍ୟବାଦ। ରହିବା ତାହେଲେ, ନମସ୍କାର।